Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Junkmaster 3, and what do you know, I'm finally back with the 2000 series. This video is going to be my 10 favorite horror movies from the year 2001, and keep in mind this is just my personal opinion. And if I've left out any movies that you would say check this movie out, I would definitely do that right away. Yeah, and unfortunately, there's two movies in this list which I know for a fact that I do have in my collection just because for some weird reason I just can't find them in the collection, whatever. I don't really understand why. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Let's begin right away. So at number one, number one, number 10, we have the movie called Valentine, directed by Jamie Blanks, who I believe also worked on, I believe it was the original Urban Legend. Yeah, he also directed the original Urban Legend film. And this is very similar in tone to that. It's sort of like that all early 2000s or late 90s slasher vibe. So it definitely has that Scream type of aura to it. But I wouldn't necessarily say this is as good as Scream, but it is your typical like teenage slasher film taking place on Valentine's Day. There's this poor kid that gets bullied in school. It's sort of like the origin story, and then he gets traumatized by this, and then we cut to so many years later, and these girls are now having their own lives and the separate lives, and they still hang out from time to time. And then there's like a killer going around, and we don't really know who it is or whatever. So people are getting picked off one by one. And I do like the kills, and I really do like the weird mask of the killer as well. He's sort of like a babyface mask. I know it's weird to say, but sort of you could sort of call it a babyface mask. But interesting kills. Not the greatest, like in terms of blood or gore effects, but I think the kills themselves are really interesting to watch. This one has Denise Richards and David Boreanaz in it. I can never pronounce his name. Obviously, there's some other really great actors in this one as well, but those are the first ones that comes to mind, in my personal opinion, when I talk about this film. So, if you do like those movies like Urban Legend, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, what did I say? I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, Scream. Yeah, those films, you probably would enjoy this one as well. So, yeah, Valentine at number 10. And yeah, once again, I really need to check that out eventually and see where I can find it in my collection. So yeah. And at number 9, we have a movie by none other than Dario Argento himself, and it is his movie called Sleepless. Some people would say this is sort of like a run-of-the-mill type of Dario Argento films. I mean, no, there's so many people that say that his movies really turned to be really bad when once he entered like the 90s and the early 2000s and whatnot. But this one I think is sticking out because I think this is much more entertaining than most of the other ones. And yeah, once again, tense moments, really great cinematography. That's usually what you could expect when it comes to Dario Argento. I actually also do quite like his movie called The Card Player, which I think most people really despise, but I kind of have a soft spot for that one. Um, but this one, I think not really many people seem to talk about at all. I think it's somewhat forgotten at this point. But nonetheless, if you are a fan of Dario Argento and you haven't seen this one, go check this one out. This one also has Max von Sydow in it. Yeah, really entertaining. If I remember, is this the one which had? I could be totally wrong about this, but I think it was Brad Dourif who also had a part in this one. Could be totally wrong. Oh, I think I'm mixing up. For some weird reason, I always mix this one up with this movie called Trauma. I don't really understand why, because they're not super similar to one another at all. But yeah, anyway, Sleepless, if you haven't seen this one, and if you're a fan of Dario Argento's movies in general, go check this one out. So yeah, Sleepless at number 9. And then we have another movie by, obviously not Dario Argento again, but by another really good director who's probably most famous for directing Reanimator and Castle Freak, among other great films. But this is his film, filmed by Stuart Gordon, the movie called Dagon, or Get Dagon, however you want to pronounce this. Really like this front cover, really, really cool. Now, this one I would say is really relying, because this is sort of like I believe this is like an H.P. Lovecraft type of thing, because especially like with the weird monster, it kind of looks like a Cthulhu type of creature. But there's also like this weird cult going on, and it's basically about this guy who really tries to survive and solve like mysteries and whatnot in this small little village. Let's see, I don't really remember where it was supposed to take place, but I really, really like the atmosphere in this. It's sort of like a harbor type of city, like close to the sea. and it's always rainy. It's really gloomy, but the music and the atmosphere and the acting, I think, is really, really great in this one. And some really tense moments from blood and gore effects are really, really top notch as well. It goes really berserk towards the end, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, if you're a fan of Stuart Gordon and you haven't seen this one, go check this one out. This is, yeah, very atmospheric. This is, I would say, almost like the reason why I like this film is so much is like 80% just because of the atmosphere and the whole like the cinematography alone and the music. So yeah, Dagon at number 8. Yeah. And then at number 7, we have a film which the very first time I watched this, I think I saw this on TV somewhere, and I just kept thinking about it so many years later, like, what was the name of that damn film? And I think the reason why I had a hard time trying to track this one down back in the day was because this film has 2 different titles. So I'm not really sure. I think the original title is The Forsaken, but for some weird reason right here, it's called Vampires of the Desert right here. And I think this one, I think it's quite funny as well. It says here on the front, the greatest vampire flick since Lost Boys. Kind of a bold statement to like compare yourself to like Lost Boys in a way, but this one really oozes of that early 2000s aura and like that type of atmosphere. It's basically about these 2 guys that meet up and they get in conflict with these vampires because one of the ladies has decided that she doesn't want to be a part of that whole cult, or like the vampire cult, anymore. So they kind of try to help her escape. That's what I remember. The main bad guy in this one, what's his name? He's been in tons of stuff. What's his name? Jonathan Shiash. Damn, I can never pronounce that guy's name. But he was also in Laid to Rest, even though that was a minor role or like a smaller role. But he's been in good stuff in general as well. Yeah, I do like the blood and gore effects. It's quite brutal for what I remember as well. It almost has a weird, I know it's weird to compare this film with this film, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of Blade, the whole like cinematography and the fast-paced editing from time to time. Some people really despise that type of editing. I mean, I'm sort of split on that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. In this case, I think it works, and I think these vampires is really cool and really yeah, really great in general. So yeah, if you haven't seen this one, if you like vampire films, go check it out. The Forsaken. I'm just going to stick with that title because I believe that is the original title of that film. And let's see here. Then on number 6, we have, I mean, some of these movies, probably some people would say, is that really a horror film? Is that more of a thriller? But I mean, this still has horror elements to it. So I'm still going to include this one in the collection or like in this top list. And so yeah, at number 6, we have Hannibal right here. And this one I actually do remember that I picked up just a little bit of trivia right here when it comes to my collecting. I remember the first time I got a hold of this. When I got a hold of this DVD, I think I was in either the UK or on Ireland, and I remember I went into this really big like DVD store back in the day, and I saw this for sale and was just dirt cheap, so I decided to pick it up. This is like a really cool edition. There's like 2 discs right here, lots and lots of special features, like you can probably see here right on the back right there. Over 3.5 hours of special features. That's just really, really great. That's something you will never get with streaming. But anyway, all of that aside, I think this is still a really good sort of a follow-up to the original. Not the original, because that is based on another one, but I mean, this is sort of like a follow-up to Silence of the Lambs in a way. But this time, Clarice is played by, what's her name? Julianne Moore. Yes, sorry, completely blacked on her name. Julianne Moore takes over the role of Clarice in this one, and I think she does an amazing job. All of the supporting cast as well is really great. So we have like Anthony Hopkins and Ray Liotta and what's that other guy's name? Gary Oldman, of course. He's just really creepy in this one as well. So there's all of these great characters shoved into one film, and somehow they make this really work well, or like really, really good. I would still say that I prefer Red Dragon over this one, but I personally, this is probably going to be really controversial, but I do prefer Manhunter, the original one from the 80s, over Silence of the Lambs. I know it's a very controversial opinion, but I really, really like the vibe of that film, even though I can acknowledge that Silence of the Lambs is an amazing film nonetheless. So yeah, but anyway, Hannibal I think is a really good film. I wouldn't necessarily say it's, I would say this is probably one of the weaker ones, but I'm not saying that that's like a bad thing because I like all of these films. I even like Hannibal Rising to a certain degree as well. So, yeah, but anyway, Hannibal at number 6. So, yeah, there you go. And at number 5, we have a movie which I can't even say the title of because YouTube doesn't like this word and you can't even discuss this on YouTube anymore without being flagged or like blurred or whatever. But you have the Japanese movie called S Club. I'm not even going to say that because I'm going to let you read that for yourself. This is by Sion Sono, and I think this is probably one of his most famous movies, to be fair. Some of his films really tend to be really, really, really long. This only goes on for like 1 hour and 30 minutes or so, which I think is good for its length, because sometimes when it comes to his films, I think they're a little bit too long for their own good. But I mean, this is just really like this, about this really creepy cult, this S Club, if you will. And there's like an investigation going on, what's really going on with this, and the deeper and deeper they go into this case, it just gets more and more bizarre. Great acting altogether. This one has that guy, what's his name, Ryo Ishibashi, who I think is probably most famous for, he was also in Takashi Miike's Audition, which is a really amazing film, and I really like his performance in that one as well. So he's sort of like the lead investigator guy in this one, if I remember correctly. So yeah, really bizarre film. I mean, there's like some really weird and kind of creepy dark comedy to this one as well, which is really weird to say when you come to think of the whole like subject matter when it comes to this film, because the opening of this film is just absolutely crazy. But yeah, if you do like weird Japanese cinema in general, if you haven't seen this film, go check it out. S Club at number 5. Yeah, I just have to say S Club because yeah, YouTube doesn't like that word. And yeah, let's continue with number 4, and we'll continue with more Japanese films. So number 4, we have the movie called Pulse, directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who I think he's not related to Akira Kurosawa, but he's made some really great films in the past as well. He made that film called Cure, which was really amazing. And he also made, I mean, he's made lots of films. I have yet to watch some of his films, to be fair, so I haven't seen too many of his films yet, but The Cure was just amazing. And Pulse is also like a really great sort of like a possession ghost story. And I usually say this when it comes to like ghost movies in general, that I feel like the Japanese people really knew how to handle that subject in general when it comes to that genre, especially like in the late 90s, early 2000s. They made so many great ghost movies in that period of time. And then the Americans decided, well, we'll have to make a remake of that and ruin everything because we're too lazy to read subtitles. Sorry if I offend any of you. I mean, this is just a stupid joke of mine. But yeah, Pulse in general is an amazing film with great characters and really great atmosphere altogether. When I saw this was fairly recent. It wasn't too many. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago since I saw this film. And I was just so blown away by the fact that this one really creeped me out. And it was a long time since anything really creeped me out when it came to horror movies in general. So that was really refreshing to watch a movie like that again. But yeah, Pulse at number 4. Yeah. Sorry if I just said that with the whole subtitle thing. That was just like a sort of like a satire type of thing. There's nothing like personal against any one of you Americans out there. So yeah, just to make that clear. Let's see here then at number 3. This is a very controversial, it's a controversial film. The thing is, when I saw this for the first time, I had no idea about the whole background story when it comes to this director. And I mean, this has been talked on YouTube so many times, so I'm not going to even go into any deeper like information about that. But for those of you who know this information, you know what this is all about. But I'm gonna pick this one at number 3 either wise, because I mean, I still really, really love this film. I mean, it's weird to say since this director is just a completely piece of shit in general. But I mean, this film altogether is great, and it is the first Jeepers Creepers. And we all know who the real creeper is, and it is the director of this film, which is just so unfortunate because of what happened with his like earliest films that he directed with the Clown House thing and that whole like craziness. That's just really, really sad. But I mean, I can't deny that I really, really adore this film. I really like the whole not the concept, but I mean the creature itself, like the creeper, is just so iconic in a way because he looks so creepy, no pun intended. Oh, that was a terrible thing. Now, how am I gonna get out of this? Not one right now. But I mean, I do really like the whole atmosphere. I really like the acting. Some of the actors. I mean, obviously Justin Long and his female co-star, which I can't remember her name. Uh, their characters can somewhat be a little bit irritating and annoying from time to time, but I think that was meant to be. And yeah, I think the creeper is himself. I mean, he's such an iconic like villain or like horror villain at this point, so you can't really deny that. Um, and the old Jeepers Creeper song as well. I'm not really sure if they actually based that or got inspiration into making this film from that song. I'm not really sure about that because of that like really old song from like the I think it was like the 30s or 40s, maybe 40s. I think it's probably from the 40s, that song, to be fair. But anyway, if you haven't seen this one, go check it out if you don't have any problems with knowing the background or whatever. I mean, I know some people used to refuse to watch this guy's films, and I totally understand why, and I can totally like respect that. But as for myself, I know it's weird to say. I'm kind of split in my decision when it comes to this because I love this film and I can't deny that. And I just wish that we could get rid of the director and still keep the movies, if that makes sense. But anyway, yeah, that's it. I mean, it's completely rambling on about other things in the movie, but sorry about that. But yeah, Jeepers Creepers at number 3. So at number 2 is yet another movie that I do have in my collection, which I also watched not too long ago, and it's the movie called The Others, with Nicole Kidman, and I would say this one falls into the same category as Pulse, which basically means that this really relies on really great atmosphere and great cinematography and music. I mean, all of those three things in this film is just phenomenal and spectacular. You never really know what's going to happen next, and it also, in a weird way, reminded me a little bit of The Orphanage in a way. For those of you who've seen that film, I think that was produced by uh, either was written by, I'm not really sure, but Guillermo del Toro was involved in that film in some way. I don't really remember how, but maybe produced it or something. But anyway, if you did enjoy the Orphanage, the Spanish film, you would probably also enjoy The Others, because very similar vibe like that. I mean, sort of like a ghost story in a way. I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen the movie yourself, but I mean, The Others, I think more people should watch and give a shot because it seems like that's a film that I mean people know about, but doesn't really get talked about enough, in my personal opinion. So, yeah, The Others are number 2, and then let's see, we have a number 1. I mean, some people would say this is more of a thriller film. This is not a horror film, but I mean, these are horrific things that happened back in the day, and that this case is still unsolved to this day, which is just really fascinating and really creepy at the same time. And it is the movie called From Hell, with Johnny Depp and Heather Graham. Ian Holm is amazing in this film. I know it's weird to say because I mean you have like Johnny Depp and Heather Graham in the film, but both of those actors are amazing in this film. But there's just something really great with Ian Holm in this film. If you haven't seen this film, you definitely know what I'm getting at. I kind of gets a little bit of I kind of get like a Lord of the Rings vibe from. It's weird to say Lord of the Rings because I mean obviously Ian Holm is known for playing Bilbo in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but it's, yeah, I don't really know what to, it's completely blacked out now. There was just some weird reference I'm going to say about that, but once again, great atmosphere, great camera work. I really like the music, and the whole fact that this case was never solved is just really creepy as well, and it kind of like amps up the atmosphere of this film. That you just constantly are on the edge of your seat. You're never really going to know what's going to happen next, and who's really like Jack the Ripper or not. Is Jack the Ripper a woman? Is Jack the Ripper a doctor? There's so many theories about this case that it's just very fascinating, and it also makes for a very fascinating film, even though obviously this is fictional, more like the whole, not fictional, but you get what I mean. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this film, but I mean, From Hell, some people would probably say, no, this is more of a thriller film, but I mean, I would say, or I would still argue that serial killer films are kind of a horror film as well because there are horrific events happening. That's a reason why I can say that Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, or any of those serial killer movies that came out in the early 2000s were also like horror movies to a certain degree, like Dahmer, Ted Bundy, and the Ed Gein movie, and yeah, all of those films. And also the Gacy film also came out around the same time. So if those films, I would say those films are also horror films, just because of the whole like subject matter, what that is all about. So, but anyway, From Hell, great film nonetheless. If you haven't seen this one, go check it out. So yeah, so that's it. That's my top 10 from the year 2001 when it comes to horror movies. Next video is probably going to be, I'm not really sure if whenever I'm going to upload this specific video, so I'm not really sure if I've already uploaded the top 5 the month of November yet, but we'll see which video is going to get uploaded first. So but anyway, hope you enjoyed this particular video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a comment or two. Have you seen any of these movies, or do you think I've missed out on any movie, or do you despise any of these movies? Please let me know in the comment section. And if you would like to follow me on YouTube to keep yourself updated, to not miss out on any videos, you can also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any new content I'm going to upload to the channel in the future. So, but anyway, hope you enjoy this video, and yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.